I was just reaching to serve the yams when it happened. The plate slipped from my fingers and landed halfway onto the table, tilted and steaming. That's when his voice rose, sharper than I'd ever heard it, cutting through the chatter of the dining room like it didn't care who it embarrassed. "Don't talk to my wife like that." The room went quiet. Forks stopped moving. Chairs creaked as bodies shifted. Danielle's face stayed frozen, her hand still wrapped around her wine. Glass, lips half pursed in that way she always did when she knew she'd stirred something. My son stood up slowly from the head of the table, and before I could even blink, his hand was in the air. "Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing." He slapped me. Not a brush, not an accident. A full, loud, open-handed slap that turned my head to the side and left the whole room breathless. And then it was silence, so heavy and so loud, I thought the walls might collapse. Danielle didn't gasp. She didn't flinch. She just sat there and looked at her nails like she was bored with all of it. My cheek stung, but it wasn't the worst part. What cut deeper was the look on Jason's face. No regret, just a tight jaw and flared nostrils like I had asked for it. And when I caught my breath, the only thing I could say was, "So this is who you are now." He didn't answer. He just said, "You were disrespecting my wife." What did I say? I had asked Danielle quietly to stop talking over me. We were in the middle of a conversation about the sweet tea, and she jumped in, corrected me like I was a child. I told her, calmly, that I'd been making this tea since Jason was 5, and if anyone wanted to know what was in it, they could just ask me. That was it. But Danielle had a way of twisting things. Always did. Turning simple remarks into insults, raising eyebrows and playing victim, while Jason picked up the sword for her. And he did. Every time. I stood up slowly, the whole left side of my face burning, and looked around the table. No one said a word. My cousin Charlene kept her head down. Jason's friend Greg shifted awkwardly in his seat. Even Tyler, my grandson, stared at his lap like he wanted to disappear. No one stood up for me. Not one. Danielle smiled then, like she won. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't slam the door. I just picked up my purse from the chair and walked out. I didn't even bother with my coat. The wind hit me hard as I stepped outside, but it still felt warmer than that dining room. My car was parked 4 houses down. They didn't even let me park in the driveway anymore. Danielle said it was for the caterers, but I knew better. I sat inside the car for a minute before starting the engine, my hands shaking slightly on the steering wheel. My ears were ringing, and not from the slap. It was the realization I had spent my whole life protecting that boy. Jason was born premature. I stayed up every night for the first 6 months, checking his breathing, rocking him through colic, singing to him when I had no voice left. I worked 2 jobs to keep the lights on, skipped meals so he could have shoes for school. I missed church some Sundays, not for rest, but because I was too busy working overtime cleaning other people's houses, and now he hit me, for her. The drive home felt longer than usual. I passed familiar streets, familiar stores, and everything felt foreign. My chest was tight, not from sadness, but from something worse, something like shame, but not mine. His, the shame he should have felt, but didn't. When I got home, I locked the door, turned off the lights, and sat on the couch in silence. The next morning, the swelling had gone down. There was no bruise, but I still saw it. Every time I passed the mirror, I saw it in my eyes. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was tired. But more than that, I was clear. I made a cup of tea, sat at the kitchen table and pulled out my old yellow notepad. I started writing. Not a diary. Not emotions. Facts. Dates. Money spent. Documents I still had. Deeds. Bills. Ownership. Jason thought I was just a tired old woman who forgot how to fight. But what he forgot was that everything he had, everything he stood on, was built by me. And while he sat in that house with Danielle, a single message: "Tell Tyler I'm sorry." I deleted it, not because I was angry, but because it wasn't mine to pass along. Monday morning, Monica called to confirm the transfer was now complete. The house was officially in my name only. Jason had relinquished his share. All future arrangements were already filed. It was done. By the end of that week, I had new locks installed. Tyler helped me. We didn't say why. We didn't need to. The last key I had that belonged to Jason. I dropped it in the trash. For what? For not giving up. I reached out and squeezed his shoulder. Neither should you. By the end of that week, Tyler had fully settled into the house. His toothbrush was in the bathroom. His clothes were in the drawers. And the guest room no longer looked like a guest room. It looked lived in. It looked like his. He even started helping me grocery shop on Saturdays, pushing the cart while I read labels and told him what brand not to buy. We didn't talk much about Jason or Danielle anymore. We didn't have to. Every time Tyler chose to stay, every time he called this house home, that said more than any argument ever could. But that Sunday afternoon, Jason came back. No warning, no text, no call. He just showed up at the door with a manila envelope in one hand and that same tired look on his face. I didn't open the door wide this time. I stepped outside and pulled the door closed behind me. He looked at me for a long second. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "Then don't." He handed me the envelope. "It's papers for the house. I know you filed to reclaim your portion. I talked to the mortgage company. I know what it means." I took the envelope, but didn't open it. "I'm not trying to stop anything," he added. I wanted to give you these before the court made it official." I nodded. "You could have mailed it," I said. "I know." "Why didn't you?" "Because I needed to see you." I waited. Jason looked down at his shoes, then back at me. "Tyler told me he's staying here." "He is." "I didn't stop him," Jason said quickly. "I could have made it a fight. Danielle wanted me to, but I didn't." "That doesn't make you noble," I said. "I'm not asking for that." He paused. "I'm getting a divorce." That caught me off guard. He must have seen it on my face because he added, "It's not about you, or Tyler, or the will. It's not working. It hasn't been working." I didn't say anything. "She left Thursday," he continued. "Said she's moving back with her mother until she figures things out." I still didn't answer. Jason exhaled. "I've been thinking a lot. About everything. About who I've become. How I got there. And how far I let things go without stopping them." "You didn't just let them go," I said. "You helped them along." He looked down again. "I know." I held the envelope in my hand, still sealed, still warm, from his grip. "I'm not here to ask for anything," he said again. "Not money, not forgiveness. I wanted you to know I'm sorry. This time, I didn't say I forgave him. I didn't offer a soft answer. I said, you need to carry that with you." He nodded slowly. "I don't expect anything from you anymore," he said. But I do want to tell Tyler the truth. About everything. About how I failed. I owe him that. That's between you and him. He hesitated. You really took me out of everything. Yes. Even the burial arrangements. Yes. Jason looked like he wanted to say something else, but he didn't. Instead, he turned and walked down the steps. At the bottom, he stopped and looked up at me one last time. Thanks for still opening the door. I didn't invite you in. He nodded once, then left. I stood there for a moment after he was gone. Then I opened the envelope. Inside were the documents, a quitclaim deed releasing his remaining claim to the property, a letter from his lawyer confirming the arrangement, and a typed note in Jason's voice. You gave me everything, and I gave you back nothing. This doesn't make it right, but it's what I should have done from the start. Jason! I folded the papers and placed them on the hall table. Later that night, Tyler came home with a new pair of sneakers and a takeout bag. Want some? He asked, lifting the bag. What is it? Chicken lo mein, extra soy sauce. We sat on the couch and ate straight from the cartons. Halfway through dinner, I told him, Your father came by. Tyler kept chewing, didn't look surprised. He told me about the divorce, I said. I figured. He said he wants to talk. To you. Tyler nodded. I might let him. That's your choice. He looked at me. I still love him. He's still my dad. I didn't say he wasn't, but I don't trust him yet. You don't have to. After dinner, Tyler went to his room to study. I cleaned up and sat quietly at the kitchen table. No music, no phone, just the sound of the clock ticking. The phone buzzed once. It was Danielle. You always have something to say when I speak. And Jason just... He reacted. You coached him, I said. You always do. He doesn't move unless you tell him where to go. She shook her head. That's not true. You sat there and smiled while he hit me. And you didn't say a word. You looked satisfied. Danielle blinked. I didn't expect him to do that. But you didn't stop him. She was quiet for a few seconds, then sighed. Look, things have been tense. Jason's been distant. Tyler won't talk to me. He barely comes home. Jason's mad at me now, too. He says I ruined everything. That's between you and him. She looked around like she expected someone to come out and interrupt us. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said. I need to understand what's going on. He said you changed your will, took his name off everything. I did. And you gave it to Tyler? I gave it to someone who hasn't tried to erase me. Danielle's mouth tightened. Jason's not perfect, but he's your son. And I was his mother. Still am. But I'm not going to pretend he didn't cross a line. She hesitated, then leaned against the railing. You really think cutting him off is going to make this better? This isn't about making anything better. It's about making it right. Danielle stayed silent after that. I turned to go, back inside. Wait, she said. What about me? Don't I get to say something? You've been saying plenty since the day you married him. You just never said it to my face. She crossed her arms again. I built that house with him. You didn't build anything. You used what was already there. I paid for that house. I furnished it. I helped him keep it during COVID, when he lost hours at work. You walked in and acted like it was yours. That's not true. I still have the receipts. Her face dropped. She opened her mouth to speak again, but I stepped inside and shut the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't yell. I just closed it. Later that day, Monica called. I filed the property reassignment this morning. she said. "It's done." I nodded. "Good." "There's one more thing," she added. "Jason emailed. He's requesting a meeting." "About what?" "He didn't say. Just that he wants to sit down and talk. Said he'll bring Tyler, too." I paused. "He doesn't speak for Tyler." "I know," she said. "Do you want me to respond?" "Tell him no." I figured, but I had to ask. After the call, I sat in the kitchen and stared at the empty chair across from me. That used to be Jason's seat when he was a boy. That was where he sat and did homework, where he ate spaghetti and spilled juice, where he told me he wanted to be an engineer when he was 12. That chair had memories. But I couldn't sit across from him again and pretend I didn't remember the slap, the way his hand didn't hesitate, the way he walked away like nothing happened, the silence after. I took the chair, carried it to the garage, and left it there. That night, Tyler came back. He looked tired, quiet, dropped his things by the door again and sat at the table. "You want dinner?" He nodded. "Whatever you've got." I made grilled cheese and soup. Simple. Comfort food. Halfway through eating, he spoke. Mom came by the school. I looked up. She said Dad's freaking out, that he thinks you're trying to punish him. "Is that what you think I'm doing?" "No." He stirred his soup. "I think you just got tired of being treated like trash." I nodded. He set his spoon down. "Can I ask something?" "Of course. If I end up staying here full time, like, for good, what happens with Dad?" "What do you mean? Will you block him out completely?" "I already have," I said. "He's not part of my future plans. He doesn't get a say anymore. Tyler." Leaned back in his chair. "I'm not ready to cut him off," he said. "I don't want to forget who he was when I was little." "I'm not asking you to." He looked at me. "Do you hate him?" "No." He blinked. "Seriously, I don't hate him. I don't trust him. And I don't owe him anything. But hate? No. That's too heavy to carry." Tyler nodded slowly. After dinner, he helped clean up again. Then he asked if he could move into the spare room officially. I said yes. We changed the sheets that night and brought in his clothes. He unpacked his bag quietly and hung a hoodie over the back of the chair like he was claiming space. It felt right. Just before bed, he knocked on my door. "Thanks," he said. "I don't know if they're gonna make it." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. After a few minutes, he asked if he could sleep over. I gave him a blanket and told him to make up the guest room. I didn't ask how long he planned to stay. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. I opened it halfway and found Jason standing there. He looked tired, unshaven, clothes wrinkled like he'd thrown them on without looking. "Can I come in?" he asked. I stepped aside. He didn't walk far, just stood in the hallway, shifting from one foot to the other. "Is Tyler here?" he asked. "He's in the guest room, getting dressed for school." Jason nodded. I didn't know he was spending the night. I didn't think I had to ask your permission. He rubbed his eyes. "Danielle's upset," he said. I figured. "She thinks I should be trying harder to fix things." "Are you?" He hesitated. "I don't know how. I keep messing it up." "You crossed a line," I said. "And you didn't even look back until it was too late." He nodded again. "I saw the paperwork. Monica sent me a copy." I didn't respond. She told me I was removed from everything. I thought we could talk." "There's nothing left to talk about." Jason looked at me then, really looked at me. "You're really cutting me out?" I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just stood there until he looked away. "I made a mistake, Ma," he said. "You raised me better than that." I did. I don't know what happened to me. You let her make decisions for you until you forgot how to make your own. He sighed. "I thought I was doing what a husband is supposed to do. Back her up. Defend her." "You forgot to defend what came before her." He didn't answer. Tyler came out of the guest room then, backpack over one shoulder, still zipping up his hoodie. He stopped when he saw his dad. Jason looked at him. Hey. Jason stepped toward him. "You all right?" "Yeah." "You coming home tonight?" "Not sure." Jason glanced at me. "He's staying here again." I answered. "That's up to him." Tyler looked at me, then back at his dad. "I'll come by to get more clothes after school." Jason nodded, but it looked like it hurt. Then he turned to me again. "I didn't mean to hit you, Ma. I swear to God I didn't plan it. It happened." I crossed my arms. "You didn't flinch. That's what I remember. You didn't look shocked. You looked like someone who thought it was justified." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "I'm not asking for money," he said finally. "I'm not trying to undo anything. I don't want you to hate me." "I don't hate you, Jason," I said. "I'm just not carrying you anymore." He didn't speak after that, just stood for a second, then stepped outside and pulled the door shut behind him. Tyler and I sat in silence after school. We didn't talk about Jason. We didn't talk about Danielle. He did his homework at the table while I made baked chicken and roasted vegetables. After dinner, he helped wash dishes again. "You think he's really sorry?" he asked. "Maybe." "You think he'll change?" "That's not my problem anymore." He nodded. "Good." Later that night, I sat on the porch for a while. The sky was clear, quiet outside. Just a couple of cars passing and someone's dog barking a few houses over. My phone buzzed once. Danielle again. I didn't even read the message. I turned the phone face down and went back inside. Tyler stayed again that night. He didn't even ask this time. After dinner, he carried his backpack into the guest room and shut the door. That was enough for me. I didn't push, didn't pry. Just put the rest of the dishes away and turned off the lights. The next morning, he left early for school. I handed him a bag with some leftovers and a clean sweatshirt. He hugged me quick before stepping out the door. "I'll call after class," he said. "All right." By mid-morning, I was folding laundry when someone knocked. I looked through the window before opening the door. It was Danielle. She was standing stiff in the middle of my porch, arms folded, face tight like she was trying to hold something in. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "I just need a minute," she said. I didn't move. "Say what you came to say." She shifted her weight. "I know you're mad. I get it. I wasn't trying to start anything that night," I said. "Nothing. I thought you were being disrespectful," she continued. Backpack on one shoulder, sneakers untied, jacket half-zipped. He looked like he hadn't had a real meal in days. "Hey, Grandma," he said. "Come in," I told him. "Dinner's ready." He followed me into the kitchen, dropped his backpack by the door, and sat at the table like it was still his favorite place in the world. "Smells good," he said. "You still don't like onions?" "Nope." I smiled and handed him a bowl. He ate like he hadn't eaten all day. I didn't say anything at first. Just let him eat in peace. When he finally slowed down, I sat across from him, with my own bowl. "Everything okay at home?" I asked. He shrugged. "It's quiet." "Your mom?" "She's always mad at something. Dad doesn't really talk. You sleeping okay?" He hesitated, then shook his head. Not really. You can stay here if you need to. I might. We sat in silence for a while. I could see he wanted to ask something, but didn't know how. You mad at Dad? He asked finally. I'm done with your father, I said plainly. That's not the same as being mad. He didn't say anything after that. Just finished his food, then helped me wash the dishes without being asked. Later, we sat on the couch. He asked me to tell him the story again, about the time he got stuck in the tree in the backyard, and Jason tried to climb up to get him, but fell instead. You cried so loud, I said. Not because you were scared, but because your dad dropped your peanut butter sandwich when he fell. Tyler laughed. A real laugh. We talked like that until it got late. When I walked him to the door, he turned to me before leaving. Are you, really not going to forgive him? I forgave him already, I said, but he's not part of my future anymore. He stood there for a second, then nodded. Can I come again tomorrow? Always. He left and I locked the door behind him. The next morning I received a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later a message came through. It was Jason. Ma, I know you're not talking to me right now. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Danielle, things got out of hand. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just trying to keep peace. I deleted the voicemail without listening to the rest, because there was no peace to keep. He gave it away the second his hand came across my face. Around noon, I drove to the local community center. I had been meaning to stop by and see about volunteering. They were starting a new program to help elderly women with legal assistance and estate planning. I didn't tell them everything. Just asked what help they needed. By the time I got home, I saw something that made me pause. A bouquet of flowers on my porch. There was no note, no card, just a bunch of white roses tied with a ribbon. I stood there for a long minute, looking down at them. Then I picked them up, walked inside, and put them straight in the trash. That Thursday afternoon, I got another call. This time, it wasn't a blocked number. It was Danielle. I let it ring 5, 6 times. Then it stopped. A few seconds later, she tried again. I didn't pick up. The phone buzzed with a voicemail. I didn't check it. 10 minutes after that, she texted. I think we should talk. Face to face. I read it and set the phone down. I didn't feel anxious, not angry. Just uninterested. If Danielle wanted a conversation now, it wasn't because she suddenly developed respect. It was because the balance of control had shifted. She must have heard about the legal changes. Maybe Jason told her. Maybe he didn't. Either way, she felt it. The silence must have gotten too loud. That night, Tyler came over again. He didn't knock this time. Just let himself in with the spare key I had given him when he was 10. I never asked for it back, and apparently he never got rid of it. He tossed his backpack on the floor by the door and walked straight to the kitchen. "Do we still have lemonade?" he asked. "In the fridge." He poured a glass, opened a bag of chips from the pantry, and sat at the table like he lived there. I let him. It was the most natural thing in the world. "You all right?" I asked. He shrugged. "They're fighting again. Same stuff. Money. Me coming over here. Dad's been sleeping on the couch." I sat down across from him. "Do they know you're here now?" "No." "You want me to tell them?" "No." We stayed quiet for a moment. He stared at the table. "I heard them talking after you left. Dad said you were overreacting. Danielle said you always make things about yourself." I didn't say anything. I didn't move. I just wanted to say, "I'm sorry," he said. "Come inside." I told. Him. He followed me in. Sat at the kitchen table while I made tea. I didn't ask about school. I didn't ask about his parents. I just poured 2 cups and set one in front of him. I didn't know, he said after a long pause. I didn't know how bad it was. It's been building, I said. Saturday wasn't the start. It was just the part no one could ignore. He nodded slowly. I don't know why he listens to her like that, he said. Like, she can say anything, and he believes it. Because it's easier than standing up to her. Tyler looked down at his cup. I miss when it was just us, he said. When you used to pick me up after school and we'd get fries and sit in the car and talk. I miss that too. He stayed for about an hour. I didn't press him about going home. He eventually said he had to, but asked if he could come again. Whenever you want, I said. That night I slept better than I had since Saturday. Not because anything was fixed, but because something was finally in motion. Thursday morning, Jason texted me. No apology, just, "You okay?" I stared at the message. Then I deleted it. He didn't ask that question when it mattered. He only asked, now, after the dust had started to settle. Maybe Danielle told him to check in. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe he was worried I'd talk. Too late. That afternoon, Monica sent me a draft of the will to review. I opened the file and read every word. Tyler's name was everywhere. His education, his living expenses, the house, the savings. Every item. Accounted for. Jason's name was gone. At the end of the document, there was a small note from Monica. All set. Just waiting for your signature. I clicked. Reply. Let's sign next Tuesday. And I meant every word. Tuesday came quicker than I expected. I woke up early that morning, earlier than usual. I didn't feel nervous, but I did feel focused. I got dressed carefully. Nothing fancy. Just a clean blouse, pressed pants, and my warm cardigan. I didn't do it for show. I did it because I wanted to walk into Monica's office feeling like the woman I used to be, before I let people walk over me in the name of family. Tyler texted me just before I left the house. Can I come by later after school? I answered, yes, I'll have dinner ready. It was short, but it meant something. It meant he wasn't afraid to be seen with me. That mattered more than he probably realized. The drive to Monica's office was quiet. No radio, no distractions, just the sound of the road and the soft hum of the engine. When I pulled into the parking lot, Monica was already waiting in her office, papers stacked neatly on the table, a pen placed right in the center like it had been waiting on me. Morning, Vivian, she said, standing. Morning. She didn't ask if I was sure. She knew. We went over the documents line by line. Everything was there exactly how I had. Asked the house, fully willed to Tyler once he turned 25, with a trust fund set up to maintain the property and pay for his expenses until then. The savings account, the bonds, and the life insurance were all directed to him as well. In the event of my passing before he reached legal age, Monica would serve as trustee. Do you want to include a note to him? Monica asked. No, I said. He'll understand when he's ready. She nodded. At the end of it all, she handed me the pen. I picked it up, signed each page carefully, and pushed the stack back to her. That's it, she said. You're done. I know. I didn't stay long after that. Just thanked her, gathered my things, and walked back to the car. It was cloudy outside. Cool air but no rain. The kind of weather where you could see your breath for just a second before it disappeared. I sat in the driver's seat for a while before pulling off, just looking out across the empty parking lot. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel stuck. I didn't feel like someone waiting for permission to take back what she built. Had just done it. When I got home, I made a pot of chili. Tyler loved chili. I hadn't cooked it in a while, but I remembered how he used to ask for it when he was little. No onions, extra beans. I made it just the way he liked. He showed up around 5, sipping wine and laughing like they'd already buried me. I was just getting started. I called Monica. She didn't pick up the first time. It was Sunday. But I left a voicemail. "Monica, this is Vivian. I need to speak with you about some urgent, legal matters involving my son. Call me back as soon as you can. I still have access to everything. I've just been too quiet." That was it. No tears, no breakdown. Just the truth. Because if Jason and Danielle wanted to see what disrespect looked like I was about to show them, not by raising my voice, not by begging, by removing myself and everything I gave from their lives, and they wouldn't even see it coming. Monica called me back Monday morning. She didn't waste time with small talk. "Vivian, you all right?" I told her I was fine. I didn't go into detail about the slap. I didn't need to. Monica had known me long enough to understand that if I was calling, something serious had happened. "I want to revisit my estate documents," I said. There was a pause. Then she said, "You want to change beneficiaries?" "Yes." She didn't ask why. She just said, "Okay, let's meet at my office this week. Wednesday work for you?" "It does." After we hung up, I just sat in the quiet. I didn't turn on the TV. Didn't scroll my phone. I just sat there with a pen in my hand and my notepad in front of me. And I wrote. I wrote everything I could remember about the last 10 years. How much I had contributed to Jason's house down payment. The savings account I helped him open after college and quietly fed into for 5 years. The loan I co-signed when Danielle wanted to open her boutique. The furniture in their dining room. I bought it. The curtains in the living room. Me again. That backyard shed? I paid for half of it as a birthday gift. But none of that mattered anymore. Because on Saturday he raised his hand to me. And worse than the slap was the silence afterward. No apology. No call. No knock on the door. Nothing. And now I was done pretending I didn't notice. Later that afternoon, I got up and went into the back room. The one where I kept all my older documents. Boxes with folders, envelopes, and receipts. Everything was still there, just as I'd organized it over the years. I found the folder labeled Property, another labeled Banking, and the one marked Jason. I opened the last one slowly. There were printouts of text messages, copies of checks, confirmation emails for payments I'd made on his behalf. I had even printed the screenshot of the day I wired the down payment to the title company for their house. $42,000. I made a new folder, labeled it, For Monica. That was the beginning. By Wednesday, I had everything packed neatly in a brown accordion folder. Monica's office was only 20 minutes from my house, and I got there 5 minutes early. Her receptionist offered me coffee, but I didn't need anything. I just needed this handled. When Monica walked in, she looked at me carefully. "You sure you want to do this, Vivian?" "Yes. I want it all rewritten. Everything goes to Tyler. If he's underage when I pass, I want the assets held in a trust until he's 25. She opened her notebook. "And Jason?" Nothing. She looked at me again. This time with that soft concern she always had when things got personal. "You know this isn't reversible once we file." "I know," I said. Monica worked efficiently. She reviewed the old documents with me, highlighted what would change, and began drafting the new versions while I sat across from her, Hands steady. No doubt. No second-guessing. Halfway through the session, she asked if there were any personal items I wanted to include. A letter, maybe. Something. To explain. I thought about it, then shook my head. If he wanted an explanation, he should have asked before Saturday. She nodded. By the time I left, everything was in motion. Monica said the documents would be ready for signature within the week. I told her I'd be back when she called. I got in my car and drove home in silence. When I pulled into my driveway, I saw Tyler standing there, waiting. I hadn't heard from him since the dinner. I hadn't expected to. But there he was, backpack on one shoulder, jacket too thin for the cold, and eyes wide with that same look he used to have when he was little and unsure. I opened the door. He didn't say anything at first, just looked down at his shoes. I saw what happened, he said quietly.